And now, from Candlestick Point in San Francisco, California, it's the Stick 49er Podcast Show with your hosts, Lucas McLaughlin and Lucas Ortiz. This is a Lucas and Lucas production. This podcast is brought to you in part by Super Tenna. Get yours today. This is an unofficial 49ers podcast and is in no way directly affiliated with the San Francisco 49ers team nor the National Football League. What's up, Niner fans? This is Lucas McLaughlin coming from my studio here in San Francisco.
I'm talking about that was ugly. We've got the primetime letdown, 49ers 20, Eagles 25. I'm joined by Lucas Ortiz now. Lucas, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man. Could be better, but the best thing the Niners need to do is just get back on the horse right now and try to right the ship.
Mullens had an awful game. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. Missed throws, big missed opportunities early. That use check, that might have been a touchdown. You know, we ended up punting on the first two possessions after having no punts last week. Mullens finishes with 18 of 26 for 200 yards and a TD, but 3 turnovers, which obviously killed us before he was replaced by Beathard late. And as my mom would say, a day late and a dollar short, Lucas.
Yeah, you know, going into last game, I was really high on Mullens. I thought he looked excellent the week before. He was confident. He was making throws on time. Just really had a grasp for the offense. And it's just so disappointing to see him underperform and just look lost out there.
Especially those 2 picks were bad, too. I mean, you had the first one, Trent Taylor, I don't think he was open. I don't know what that was. And then later, the pick 6 was even uglier. So
yeah. Now, granted, there was a lot of pressure on him. I think he was hurried a bunch of times. 5 sacks, that didn't help his confidence at all. And he definitely had some pressure when he threw the ball up for grabs to, it looked like about 3 or 4 Philadelphia Eagle defenders with just a 5'9" Trent Taylor going up for a jump ball. I mean, that's never a good option. So
yeah,
he looked frazzled out there. He lost his confidence. Kyle seemed to lose his confidence and was very, unhappy with his performance, and he wound up getting yanked for CJ.
Yeah, and we did have some bright spots. And, Mullens did have a really nice deep pass to Kittle, and that was followed up by, I think, an interception. But Kittle, wow, it was nice to have him back, obviously.
Huge game. Huge game.
Record setting, actually, with 15 catches for 183 yards and a touchdown. And it was great to have Debo back as well. And, he'll continue to build and become Debo again. And obviously, Brandon Ayuk, I mean, that hurdling people to get into the end zone, this kid, he has really shined the last couple of games.
Yeah, he does. It was nice having Kittle back, and Debo was able to make it back into the lineup for a small amount of plays. But get this for an unsettling stat. The Niners are 0-2 with George Kittle in the lineup, 2-0 with George Kittle out of the lineup. Kind of a weird thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and when you look at the defense versus Wentz, Wentz showed that he's a good quarterback. We did apply a lot of pressure. I mean, I don't think we played awful, but just didn't quite do it. Dante Johnson, he had a good, solid game. I was telling somebody how great he looked, and then he gave up that big TD, which, it happens.
Yeah, and it wasn't bad coverage. I think he was pretty close to the guy's hip. It would have been nice if he would have got his head up a little sooner, got his hand in the way, and maybe knocked the pass down right before it got there. But the coverage was fine. And, it's crazy. Like, the guy that caught that touchdown, he was a practice squad guy, and he was literally just signed and brought up the day before Sunday's game, and he made the biggest play of the game. I mean, that was huge. I mean, that ultimately won the game for the Eagles.
Definitely. And, when you look at it, we did okay, but there were too many third downs that they ended up converting. And, and I noticed that Armstead, he had a solid game, but he's just like a millisecond of having that great game where he hit the quarterback, I think 6 times. And, he just was, I think that, you'll see that next game, but he's getting better and better too this year. But yeah, it was a tough loss at home, and one where the Niners should have won that. Obviously, the Eagles were big time underdogs, and that was their first win of the year, so it's a little embarrassing. But we're pretty banged up, and now one of the guys that we should get to those injury updates, Ansah, too bad, torn biceps, and he'll be out. And now I heard K'Waun Williams also has an issue with his knee, and he'll be sent to the IR.
Yeah, so I just wanted to get back to the defense and how it played against the Eagles. I thought the defense had a really good game. I mean, you can't really put that loss on them. Essentially, they held them to a couple touchdowns and a field goal. One of those field goals, I think, was off a turnover in the defensive side of the field. So defense played pretty good. I mean, we obviously missed Bosa. Having him on the edge, being that guy that finishes plays, gets to the quarterback a millisecond earlier. And, Armstead had a really good game, but we need him to be a rusher from the inside on those third down and long, obvious passing plays. We need Bosa and D Ford to be the guys on the outside, speed rushing and creating havoc. And you really see the void in the defensive line where you really miss those guys. You really miss having Bosa being the finisher that he is and creating all that disruption in the backfield.
Yeah.
So Wentz was able to make some big plays on third down and use his legs a little bit, get out of the pocket and make some crucial third down conversions. And hopefully we'll be able to bring the next man up, whether it be like a Deion Jordan or Kerry Hyder Jr. to be that pass rush that we desperately need out there.
Yeah, and Warner had another solid game. He's having a phenomenal year. I know you pointed that out last week. Man,
MVP season so far.
Yeah, and his words in the locker room when asked about the spirit of the locker room right now, he said, "We're pissed off." And I don't think I want a pissed off Warner playing against me.
He should be pissed off. Absolutely. Yeah, he's pissed off at the offense for turning the ball over and putting the defense in bad spots. So he needs to be pissed off. I think the defense played their asses off. The offense really, really, really let them down. I mean, the turnovers, the lack of pass protection, it just put us up against the wall and really didn't allow the defense to get any benefit for how hard they played.
Yeah. And when you look at it, the defense did play well, but, when you've got the issues that we had with McGlinchey and the offensive line, which we'll get into down in the trenches, but man, I mean, it's tough to get anything going when you're getting driven back into your own quarterback on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into it in the down in the trenches, but I just have to say, like right now, our biggest negative or the biggest downside to our team has definitely been the offensive line, and even guys like Trent Williams struggled, had really, really rough days on Sunday, and I'll break it down later. But man, we need to get better. We need to get better at protecting the quarterback and opening up the holes for the running backs to get through.
Definitely. So back with the injury updates, we've got Ziggy out for the season.
Yep.
Ansah, that's too bad. K'Waun, I believe he'll be out for a few games.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that develops. And then we've got a couple of positive notes. I believe Sherman and Richie James Jr. will start practicing this week, hopefully. And those will be definite bright spots that we need. Especially, I noticed the punt return game has been non-existent. And I remember Richie James, he does pretty well at that. So it'll be nice to have him back once he gets running on all cylinders again.
Yeah, it's a shame about Ziggy. Tore his biceps. Looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the year. But the Niners will probably look to replace him with a veteran defensive end or pass rusher, like maybe Clay Matthews or Cameron Wake. Those guys are a little long in the tooth, but they have a ton of experience. Clay Matthews had about 8 sacks last year. So I think he's got a little something left in the tank if the Niners want to go his route and sign him to replace Ziggy.
That would be huge.
K'Waun's going to be hard to replace, though.
Yeah.
K'Waun he's a very unique nickel cornerback in the fact that we use him as a blitzer. We use him in the run game. He's a really good run defender and tackler. So it's going to be hard to replace him. We could possibly put Mosley at that position if Richard Sherman is back and playing his normal corner position. We could use Verrett and Sherman as the left and right cornerback and use Emmanuel Mosley as the nickel cornerback and see what he has to offer as far as blitzing and run support. The other player coming back, I think you said Richie James Jr.
Yeah.
I think he comes in and takes over that punt return, kick returner spot. And I want to see what he can do as a wideout. I think he could be a good number 4, maybe number 5 wide receiver. And we might have to get rid of Dante Pettis. It might be the end of the Dante Pettis time in San Francisco. So we'll have to see what Kyle wants to do, what John Lynch wants to do with that wideout spot.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. I mean, Pettis really hasn't done much at all. It's too bad because, I liked him coming out of the gate. And, man, he just hasn't been open. And when he is, he's not making the effort that we need. So I could see a move like that happening for sure. Now, let's talk a little bit about McKinnon, who had another touchdown. So now he has a touchdown in each game this year, which is nice.
All he does is score touchdowns.
It's a touchdown machine. He had 14 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. And, when your O-line is playing the way they did, it's tough to have big games in the running game. And then hopefully we'll have our other guys back soon. Have you heard anything about our other running backs that are injured right now?
So we don't know. This is Tuesday as we're saying this. We're not sure on Mostert yet. I'm pretty sure Tevin Coleman is still on IR, if I remember correctly. So Mostert might be back, but it's yet to be determined. We'll have to see if he practices this week or not. He adds a different dimension to our run game that even McKinnon and Jeff Wilson can't. He is much better at those outside zone read type plays where he just makes one cut and he's gone. Like he hits the hole faster than any running back that we have. He's much more adept at those big plays that we haven't really seen over the last couple weeks. So it would be really nice if we can get Mostert back in the lineup this week against the Dolphins.
Uh-oh. You hear that sound, Lucas?
That I do, my friend. Sounds like Pat's making his picks.
Oh, yeah. He's back. Pat Summerall.
And now, from the bar in the big sky, yours truly here, Pat Summerall. I'm here to give you predictions every week here on the Lucas and Lucas, The Stick Podcast. Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Pat's Picks here on the Stick Podcast. Well, I'm sure you know by now I got all my picks wrong last week. And yes, I'm going to tell them R2. Give me a second. And I learned a valuable lesson. Don't take Ambien on nickel shot night. The hangover gives a whole new meaning to the word recovery. Okay, well, hopefully I'll do better this week. On with the picks. For my first pick, the 49ers are at home versus Miami. They did horrible last week. Look for them to bounce back. Garoppolo should be the quarterback. The Dolphins played well in a losing effort against the Seahawks. Look for the Niners to destroy them at home. The final score, the 49ers 28, the Dolphins 7. For my second pick, the Carolina Panthers are at the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are still winless, and this is a divisional matchup. Look for the Falcons to get their first win at home this week. After all, their offenses look pretty good. Ryan is on my fantasy football team. Therefore, that's right, R2. Therefore, the final score will be Atlanta Falcons 64, the Panthers 21. I know that's a high score, R2, but I'm trying to stay positive. And for my third pick this week, the Arizona Cardinals are at the New York Jets. The Jets are awful. Look for the Cardinals to beat them. The final score, the Cardinals 21, the Jets nothing. Yes, R2, that is my fantasy football defense, Arizona. And I just predicted a shutout. No, I have not had an Ambien tonight. Definitely not. I hear there's a Van Halen concert tonight. Let's get going, R2. Order us another round. Thank you for joining me on Pat's Picks. Stay tuned. See you next week. Lucas and Lucas, back to you.
Wow. I mean, it's so nice to hear a Hall of Fame broadcaster on our show.
Yeah, I'm starting to believe it is actually Pat Summerall. I don't know. His divine intervention is kind of is shining down on us, isn't it?
Dude, I told you, that is Pat Summerall, and we are very blessed to have him reaching down from the heavens.
Absolutely.
And I got a question for you. So obviously Beathard came in late and he looked pretty good. Do you think he takes that spot away from Mullens, or do you think that it'll just go back? And Mullens obviously had a bad game, but we know that he can do a lot better. He's had some trouble under pressure, though, and I'm not sure that Kyle really trusts him right now.
Well, we know Beathard is one of Kyle's guys. He drafted him in the 3rd round. He was really high on him, especially that first year. And when he got hurt and Mullens came in, they were probably only expecting Mullens to probably play 1 or 2 games tops and then put Beathard back in the starting lineup. Yeah. The only problem was Mullens played so well, there was just no way that you could put Beathard back as a starting quarterback. And going into last season, it was pretty evident that Mullens was the better of the two. He had a better preseason, better numbers, won the starting backup job. That sounds kind of funny. And Beathard was kept to be on the practice squad the whole season. Who knows? I think Kyle has a little more confidence right now, this second, with CJ Beathard. And if Garoppolo can't go, I think CJ Beathard gets the start.
Yeah, and he probably has Kittle in his ear, because from what I heard, when Kittle was rehabbing his injury, he basically plays catch with Beathard all day long.
Yeah, he does. So, he does.
I'm sure that he probably has a say in this.
And I'm not sure if you read, there was an article in the off season coming into training camp that CJ Beathard transformed his body. He did a lot of work to lose body fat and put on lean muscle. And I think it really showed. He looked like a different guy out there, right?
Yeah, man. He was making some good throws through some tight coverages too.
Yeah. Apparently he had what they call a dad bod coming into the offseason, and he really committed himself to working out, eating better, and just transforming his body, like I said. And he looks a lot more athletic. He was a little more assertive in his decisions. Like, granted, the defense was more of in a prevent mode on that first touchdown drive, but he looked really good. He was accurate. He was zipping the ball around. Looked like they were getting more plays downfield to the receivers. And it'll be interesting if he gets to start, what type of player he's going to look like in that role as a starter with the pressure on.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if anyone knows this at home, but my man Lucas Ortiz is a personal trainer. Hey, did you secretly help Beathard get his body back in shape for this?
You know what? I waited by my phone. I never got that call, man. He must got another guy. He must be working out with another trainer. Yeah, I guess he didn't want to come all the way to New York City, where I live, to come train with me, or pay for my
That's what you say.
Pay for my flight to Nashville, where he lives. Thanks for the plug.
So that brings us to our next segment, Down in the Trenches with Lucas Ortiz.
Down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
And man, we've got some tough things to talk about there. So Lucas, McGlinchey, is he going to be walking away with Pettis soon, or
yeah?
How do you see this happening?
No, McGlinchey's not going anywhere right now. He's still our best option at right tackle. I've heard some crazy ideas like, let's put Brunskill at right tackle and move McGlinchey into right guard, because Brunskill, when he did play at tackle last year, was pretty good and pretty solid.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to do that. I think we still gotta gut it out and hope that McGlinchey kind of rights the ship a little bit. There's some things in his technique that I see really disturbing. Like, it just looks like he's turning his body in a way that almost just gives the defensive end or the pass rusher a clear route to the quarterback. And I think he really needs to fix his technique, move his feet a lot better, get more of a punch. The one thing I've been pissed off when I watched him play, it doesn't look like he's aggressive and just, really tries to punch the guy in the chest, which is a technique that most offensive linemen are taught. And, until he does that and just, creates more force to stop the initial speed or the power rush, he's going to get beat a lot. Even Trent Williams, I didn't see that out of him this last Sunday. He's normally a guy that just sticks to that big pot there and just stops all momentum of the defender. And I didn't really see that with him. I didn't see that with Brunskill. I didn't see that with Lakin. It just seems like as a unit, they were all just, equally playing not up to their abilities. The only guy that really didn't play terribly was Ben Garland, who has the least experience as offensive lineman. This guy was a defensive lineman for the Falcons. He's only been playing that position. He's only been playing that position for about 2 to 3 years, and he's the one that played the best, if you can call it that.
That's
Sunday.
Amazing, actually.
Yeah, it's incredible. So right now, these guys, they need to take it to heart. They need to have a really good week of practice, work on their technique, work on being violent with their hands and punching the defender in the chest, stopping all that speed and momentum, opening up more holes, whether coming off their blocks for double teams better or, beating that one-on-one run play. A lot of times these guys are matched up one-on-one versus a D tackle or a defensive end, and they're just losing those battles right now. The Eagles kicked our ass.
Hopefully Shanahan will, he's the master of designing really good run plays. So we need McGlinchey to get his head out of his pettis and start really working harder here.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how well we scheme plays. If you can't block the guy in front of you, that play is not going to be successful. If you're not going to have any kind of push, those plays are going to get blown up in the backfield before the running backs, even get a chance to do anything. There is no hole. There's no hole to pick. It doesn't matter what kind of vision, speed, or quickness the running back has if the defender is 2 yards in your backfield and blowing up the play.
Exactly. And so hopefully this week against Miami, look for a lot of rushing yards. Hopefully we'll see Mostert, but even if we don't, we have the depth to go deep and run a lot more and more effectively. So hopefully we'll see that against Miami this week.
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to get a lot better. So there's so much room for improvement on our team, and it starts with the offensive line.
Down in the trenches with Lucas Ortiz. Down in the trenches.
And that brings us to our next segment, Ortiz Overachievers.
Overachiever.
So the only overachiever in that monstrosity of a football game was CJ Beathard. I really love the way he came in and drove the ball, drove the team all the way for a quick score. He was able to get the team.
Because they don't get reps during the week, right? If he's third string, he's not getting any reps during the week.
So the only reps he's getting is scout team. He's basically trying to emulate the team that you're about to play. So this week he was getting scout team reps pretending to be Carson Wentz. And that's typically what the third string or practice team quarterback gets.
That said, he played really well.
Yeah, he was outstanding. He was obviously he knows the offense, being here 3 years and being with Kyle for that long. It looked like he knew exactly where he needed to go with the ball. Didn't really have to use his legs too much, but he did have one thing that I wasn't, a huge fan of was that the 2-point conversion where he flipped it
he should have ran.
He flipped it to George Kittle, and it was a little off. And he could have, like you said, he could have ran it. He could have walked it into the end zone.
It was wide open,
and we really wound up needing those 2 points, because then we had to go for a touchdown instead of just a field goal to tie the game. So that was kind of big. But other than that, you can't be mad at him. He came in and at least put us in position to tie the game. And
as bad as we played, he still gave us a chance at the end to win.
Yeah, he gave us a chance to win. We could have.
That onside kick was awful, by the way. I don't know what.
Yeah,
that was.
What was that? I've never seen an onside kick like that. I think what they were trying to do is kick it in a way that it just kind of pops up really high, but it never did that. It never did the pop up, so it wound up just kind of squibbing to the back guy, and he jumped on it and never was really in jeopardy of bobbling the ball as it came towards him.
Cool. So the keys to beating Miami this week, Jimmy G. If he's 80%, Lucas, does he return? If you're Kyle, do you let him return?
Ooh,
and, obviously they're probably going to put it up to him. And I think after seeing how we played last week, he's going to return. But, when it comes down to it, the doctors will have something to say about that. What do you think?
So if he is 80%, I say you have to start him. That's plenty enough for him. 80% of Jimmy G is better than 100% of Nick Mullens or CJ Beathard. He's got to start it.
I mean, as long as he can defend himself and get away from pass rushers, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about a quarterback, you don't have to be super mobile. You don't have to be 100% like a wide receiver, a cornerback, running back. You know, they don't have to make precision cuts or have crazy agility. They just have to be able to backpedal a little bit, maybe move to the right or left a couple times, and that's it. As long as he can push off that back foot and get velocity on the ball, he should be okay to play. So we'll see if he practices this week. My guess, if I was a betting man, I would say put all your money on him playing against Miami.
Yeah, definitely. So that would be a huge boost because, Jimmy G he's our quarterback, and there is no controversy. He's the man, and when he comes back, you're going to see why.
Yeah, and look for Debo to have a much more a bigger impact on this game. I think they had him on somewhat of a pitch count that first game back, but I think he's going to play the majority of the snaps at wide receiver 1. Ayuk is probably going to get the majority of wide receiver 2, and then Kendrick Bourne's probably going to make some big third down plays as a slot receiver. We're going to have a good team. There's a lot of games to be played. The offense is going to get better and better each week, especially if we get a lot of players coming back and, try to prevent any more of those catastrophic injuries from happening. We'll be okay. Yeah. I think we're going to roll the Dolphins. I think we're going to get back to running the football and play action passes to open it up. So look for the 49ers offense to score a lot of points with Jimmy back.
All right. So that said, give me a prediction for the final score against Miami, Lucas.
Final score, we are going to score 42 points to Miami's 24 points. And those 24 points, the majority of them will probably come in the fourth quarter during garbage time. So I think our offense is going to have a huge game against Miami. A lot of yards on the ground, a lot of yards in the air. Jimmy's going to throw for around 300 yards, a couple touchdown passes. And if Mostert plays, I think he's going to get a 100-yard game and a touchdown. So that's my prediction.
Awesome.
What about you? What do you say?
So I'm going to go 28-7 Niners, and I'm going to say we're going to have 200 yards on the ground. Jimmy G is going to throw for 2 touchdown passes, and one of them is going to be to Debo.
Nice.
So I think that we'll win, and we've got to show improvement on that offensive line. And so especially if Jimmy G's back, we've got to protect him and get some really good push on that offensive line. So we'll have to see how the trenches look this week.
Right, and I want to see some big down the field plays to Debo or Ayuk. I think those guys can really do some damage with their speed. Running deeper routes, post routes, flag routes, whatever it is. Like I want to see Jimmy get him the ball 30, 40 yards downfield, and not just rely on Kittle or Juszczyk as the deep ball target. So we'll see if Kyle incorporates that into the game next week. Absolutely.
If they can get the right protection, then I see them definitely trying to go downfield more because those passes all look really short.
Yeah, and that's probably a product of the lack of protection.
Definitely. Well, thank you for joining me, Lucas. You have a great week, and hopefully the Niners will prevail.
Yeah, go Niners.
All right, go Niners. Take care, man.
Take care, buddy.